Welcome to Unbroken Arrows Healing Through the Hunt podcast. I'm Greg, and I'm here with my son Trey, and we are talking to Darrel DuVall. Darrel DuVall is the State Outreach Coordinator for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is part of the United States Department of Agriculture. Darrel, welcome.
Thank you, Greg.
Well, Darrel, so far, we're in the first day of Pheasant Fest here, and we've had pretty good traffic through our area. Your booth is pretty close to ours. What are your thoughts about Pheasant Fest so far?
I love visiting with everybody from all across the country. I'm surprised at how many people traveled in from all over the Midwest and the rest of the nation to visit and talk about habitat and programs and everything else that has the offer here at this facility.
This event is really pretty amazing in terms of its scope and its reach. I don't know if you went to the concert last night, the concert for conservation. My wife and I did, and you know it's a mix of, well, I'm 60, so I'm on that the gray-haired side of things, and there were young folks there, and there were people my age or older, and I think that conservation, hunting brings everyone together, no matter who they are and where they're from.
That is so true. And when I get the families visiting with me, and it could be several generations, I really do like to talk about that life in the soil, and that's one thing we really try to help with is the hunting is so good for the soul also, but a lot of our programs with Natural Resources Conservation Service, we focus on that life in the grasslands habitat, or life even under the soil that affects the grasslands and the habitat above the soil. It's all connected.
It is, and that's something that we can see in different areas of our lives all the time. And when it comes to nature, when it comes to wildlife, as you said, when it comes to the soil and the forestry and everything, it is connected. And I'm not sure who I can attribute this quote to, but it's so very true. Might have been Walt Whitman that said, "You can't pick a blade of grass without troubling a star," and it's just the way it is. Everything is interconnected. So, first question for you is: so then, how does the NRCS affect pheasant, quail, and bird habitat in general?
Well, thank you. And really, as I was saying, how everything's so connected, and we focus on working on private lands with private decision makers, always voluntary. So NRCS, short for Natural Resources Conservation Service, and we're there to offer that technical assistance or guidance or suggestions or ideas. We call it planning, but it's really a decision-making tool of, here's what you have on your place, whether you're talking corn, beans, wheat rotation, and what changes do you want to make? Do you want to talk about building organic matter, which again is going to be good for the soil, which is going to be good for the crops, which typically is going to be good for habitat? If we're talking grassland management, what changes do we want to make to build more habitat in, whether that's winter protection, which in this world for most of our pheasant, particularly, and other game birds, that's our biggest need, is that winter food and winter protection source. So how can we incorporate shrubbery or stiff stem grasses to not lay flat in the snow, that still have seeds? And of course you can do food plots, but how can we do food plots with a perennial grass in there? We like to promote the perennial grasses such as switchgrass to support that winter habitat that's needed for our birds and other wildlife.
Sure. Now, is there, there is, but with regard to the difference in habitat between pheasant and quail, is there a plan does the plan look different in those types of situations?
So that plan or that decision-making process is going to be specific to each situation, each land use, and each land forms, and what that individual or the decision maker has for tools and experience capability. Now, the difference between the pheasant and quail, I'm going to leave that to the experts and just say that we're working one-on-one to come find the answers for that person or that entity who wants to develop habitat.
Sure. Okay. So tell me, you're here and you've got a nice booth space here at the 2024 National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. So what does the NRCS offer to those that are here at the show?
Really, what I'm pushing for is to, I hate to use that word again, connection, but connect those who are visiting here with their local service centers. And a lot of times I'll offer to send them an email with that contact information for their local service center so they can get that one-on-one, face-to-face discussion on their property and have that talk of, is there any changes that we want to talk about making here for adding habitat? Or maybe it's not habitat, maybe it's just a healthier system that brings livestock back onto cropland because we know that's benefiting the soil resource. And if we can benefit the livestock enterprise and pull livestock off of grass sooner in the fall, maybe we can benefit the habitat on that grass where that livestock used to be instead. So just examples like that. It's connecting up, talk about our programs, both technical and financial assistance program. But then more importantly also is all of our partners. I want to highlight that when our participants come in the main doors of the Premier Center here, just off to the right or the east, we have a 70-foot long corridor that we call Dakota Grasslands. And beautiful. It's a backlit display. The artist was wonderful at detail. We have a little bit of a Sioux Falls skyline in the back. And then it starts on the left with a very diverse grassland and diverse wildlife habitat shown in there and diverse grasses and forbs. And as you work down that corridor, to the right or to the east, you get towards the encroached grasslands. It's encroached with, say, invasive smooth brome grass. You can see that labeled in there. And the eastern red cedar. And you get less and less diversity of wildlife habitat. And that display and the workers they're all from our partners called Working Lands for Wildlife, an initiative that lots of different entities and groups are supporting, Working Lands for Wildlife. So that's one of our partnership. We're all connected to do the best we can to develop our habitat and especially our grasslands in South Dakota.
Sure. That's. I will have to add though that Darrel and I think that's on the east side of the facility here. We tried to work that through ourselves, but we're both directionally challenged when it comes to entering this building, I think.
The main entrance, and look to your right, and you won't miss the 70-foot long lighted display of grass and animals, and very colorful. And then just to the left of the main entrance is our non-operating landowner booth that South Dakota Association of Conservation District has, supporting those persons who own land that want to help with habitat development within a farming operating land situation. So it's the owners working with the farmers or the operators of that land, non-operating landowners. We really want to support that connection again between the landowners and the operators and how we can develop soil health practices that benefit the soil, the grassland community, and also habitat.
And I think that's something that is so much different now than say it was when I was young. I think these programs and the partnerships that are offered and available for those that want to do those kinds of things are here and now.
Correct.
When I was younger, I can remember hearing some of the conversations about, I wish I could do this or I wish I could do that, and how that could work. And now those programs are available.
Greg, there is a lot of programs available. Again, let's talk about connection. In a lot of our NRCS offices that across the nation typically are located in the county seats of each county, we are partnering with partner employees. In South Dakota, a lot of Pheasants Forever biologists are in our offices to work on habitat development programs that then use NRCS programs for financial assistance. We partner with other groups also to put wildlife emphasis in our programs and right there in our offices. But our partner Pheasants Forever biologists are right there in our offices helping develop habitat plans.
And that's something I know that's a priority for them. Just like here, they have the biologists on hand to work with landowners to develop a plan and to make a plan for better habitat for not just pheasants, but because that, as we said, everything's connected. That's everything. The other thing I'd like to point out is that you mentioned that every county, basically it's split up by every county. And if a person really stops and pays attention, now whether we're talking about Nebraska, whether we're talking South Dakota, Iowa, there's a lot of diversity when it comes to the different soil types. And all of those kinds of things have a huge factor with regard to what type of plan would be developed, correct?
Correct, and that's one of our standing main focuses is that one-on-one on-site assistance, so that we can talk about not only the different soil capabilities, but what has past management changed in those soils or grassland capabilities. For in grassland habitat, for example, if the past management has converted that grass mixture into a blue grama sod, well, there's only so many different things you can do to change it into different plant community. And so just because you got the right soils, it doesn't mean you have the right cover to make the changes you want to get the habitat that you want. And then we look at what are the alternatives and options to get to the habitat that we're looking towards.
Sure. Well, thank you, Darrel. And my last question is, you know, if people want to contact you, where can they find you? Where can they contact the local NRCS?
Yep. So one, I told about the two booths out in the front of our Premier Center, but if you come back to the arena where we're at sitting here now, Greg, you look for the rotating blimp above our stand. That rotating blimp has a farmer on it with a American flag in the background. When you see that rotating blimp 20 foot in the air, come visit with me, and I will either get you linked up with your local service center or Google USDA local service center, and you'll have an office locator that you can select on the state and then down to the county, and then it'll show you the NRCS offices and Farm Service Agency offices in that county and the contact information to get a hold of them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Darrel. And I can't say that I've seen any other blimps here this weekend, so they should be able to find it, and when they see it, they'll know that they're in the right spot.
I'd love to visit with them.
Okay. Thank you, Darrel. Appreciate you taking the time to visit with us.
Greg, thank you.